When you think about Spider-Man, I'm guessing you think Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, or Toby Maguire. You might go to the latest PS4 game, or Spider-Verse, or go old school and think way back to the 90s cartoon. Today, I'm taking you deep into the Spider-Verse a la Madame Webb. We're going back to 2003, a time when MTV was kinda relevant. A time where our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man was played by none other than Neil Patrick Harris. I'm Kris Carr, and today I'm taking you back to MTV's Spider-Man series. Before we get to cel-shaded web slinging, I want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors on Patreon. Thanks to Adpocalypse Avengers like y'all, we get to film another day and I get to pay my bills with actual money, not just exposure. If you've got a sweet gig like selling pics of Spider-Man to the Bugle, why don't you swing on over to our Patreon page and see if a donation tier works for you? Don't have superhero-based income? No problem. Liking, sharing, and subscribing are awesome ways you can show us your support. On to the show.
So I begged the Bugle to give me an actual job, not just the freelance stuff.
What'd they say?
They told me McDonald's is hiring all shifts.
Dude, all the fries you can eat.
Initially, Spider-Man the new animated series was going to be a clear-cut adaptation of the Ultimate Spider-Man comic book. That changed, though, when Sam Raimi's 2002 Spider-Man movie ended up being a huge success. Marvel had the show reworked to be more of a continuation of the Raimi storyline, focusing on Peter Parker's time in college to help keep fans sated until Spider-Man 2 premiered in 2004. Brian Michael Bendis was brought in to write the pilot for this new concept, who delivered a script based on his own Marvel comic, Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, I would have loved more episodes from Bendis. His Ultimate run was fantastic, and he's one of my favorite writers. Bendis gifted us with awesome Marvel event storylines like House of M, Secret Invasion, and Age of Ultron. He helped create Miles Morales and Jessica Jones. Dude is a powerhouse.
Cute trick. Where were you when we had an energy crisis?
Bendis' script was shopped around until MTV brought the series to their network. Now, because the show was on MTV, the series got to play things a little more fast and loose. We're not too concerned with handling stories with kid gloves because it isn't kids programming. For the first time, a Spider-Man series was able to use PG-13 language and have characters die on screen.
Who died?
I had completely forgotten about this. So many people die. In the very first episode, Electro kills a kid.
A child?
Well, he's like a college freshman, sophomore kind of thing. Like, he's a doucher in college.
There's not a scene where they just electrocute.
No, they're not like murdering babies.
You turned me into this!
We all learn a valuable lesson about hazing. Don't do it. Someone will murder you. You didn't get a body count on Fox Kids or Jetix. Some of you may be looking at that beautiful B-roll footage we're using and think to yourself, yeesh, that does not look great. That looks like Reboot. Well, it does look like Reboot, because the animation was handled by Mainframe Entertainment using similar CG technology and techniques.
I don't think so.
The original plan was to use traditional CG, but then the creative team shifted to rendering in a 2D cell animation style. While this may look less than appealing now, and sure, hairstyles had to be kept shoulder length to keep MJ's hair from just phasing through her body because coding, this was actually some cutting-edge stuff. This style was applauded. The series was even nominated for a 2004 Annie Award for Outstanding Achievement in an Animated Television Production.
Oh my God, get a room.
Peter, stand still.
Is this legal?
Depends on how far they go.
This show did not win an award.
Well, it didn't win it, it was nominated for it.
But
But it got a nomination! Here, the Spidey suit is based off of the 2002 movie, with some gems taken from various comics. Spider-Man's eyes, for example, move with expressions similar to Steve Ditko's drawings. The webbing has a very Todd McFarlane vibe, and Spidey himself has that lanky baby giraffe teenager look that artist Mark Bagley would use. Expressive Spidey eye suits are my favorite thing! I love when the suits incorporate his little eyes.
Maybe I need an image makeover. I'm Spider-Man.
Something I found out that I thought was really interesting was that Peter was originally going to be dressed in much baggier clothing to sort of hide his superhero physique. But the CG format prevented folds from being added into his attire. Hence those skinny t-shirts, the likes of which we haven't seen since Dave Klein hosted here.
shout out to Dave.
Shout out to Dave Klein.
What a good sport.
We miss you and your Dorito body, baby. What's up? A big change in this Spider-Man adaptation is that there's no Aunt May, except for a picture of her in Pete's bedroom.
Why?
That's because network executives thought that having old people in the show would deter their young targeted audience from tuning in.
Oh, MTV.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know how when you're a Ute and you find aging disgusting? I can't really make fun of this too much though, because I mean, the MCU Spider movies gave us Hot May. MTV could have been onto something here. Hatred of old people aside, the series was mostly well received, garnering mostly good reviews from viewers and critics alike. People dug the darker stories and praised the voice cast. In some of these past nostalgic videos, I know I've really geeked out over the voice cast, but this one is just weird. Obviously, helming the ship is Neil Patrick Harris as Peter Parker. This is pre-Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. This is when NPH isn't known as NPH. He's still mostly known as Doogie Howser. Harris delivers Peter's quips just as you want him. Quippy. Some of his dialogue is truly cringeworthy, but when you're a crime fighter known for throwing out puns and dad jokes, you're gonna get a few lemons in the mix.
Give me your watch now!
Why bother? Your time is up.
Some of them are also just devastatingly This Is MTV in 2003.
Who do they think they are? Johnny Knoxville?
NPH has a really distinct voice that I feel really sets him apart from the other Spider-Men. It seems like an acquired taste based off of different reviews, but I like it. I think his natural charisma and snarkiness really work well for Pete. Does it work better in, say, Shattered Dimensions when he's playing a 20-something Spider-Man? Absolutely. But I think he does some strong work here. And let's be honest, we all know NPH is a Broadway legend. He's an incredibly gifted actor, a Gene Kelly-esque dancer, and is the voice of an angel. So let's just thank our lucky stars that he chose to play Spider-Man on MTV and not get himself killed like those other guys in the Spider-Man musical. The Tonys never would have been the same. Lisa Loeb plays MJ. Loeb is probably most famous for her song Stay, I Miss You, which came out in 1994. MJ is pretty typically MJ in the series, trying to figure out what she and Pete have, all while working to achieve her dreams of becoming an actress. And boy, the acting.
No, you know damn well what the problem is. Him.
Oh, God. Yes, I still care about him.
This is the actual lines that they say. She's doing a screen test, and she's looking at the guy actor, and she goes, "You want a goal? Take up soccer. I want a boyfriend." Wow. And they're like, "That's our actress probably. Come back for another screen test." Loeb definitely feels like the weakest link in the cast. But what can you expect from someone whose first voice acting credit is a singing baby in the Rugrats movie? Harry Osborn, a blonde in this adaptation for some reason, is played by Ian Ziering of 90210 fame. We keep some movie continuity with Harry hating Spider-Man for the death of his father, Norman Osborn, and the strain it put on he and Peter's relationship due to Pete taking photos of the webhead, promoting what Harry believes is a false narrative of Spider-Man being a hero. High school bully Flash turns up at Empire State University as well, and is voiced by Devon Sawa. That's right! Casper is Flash Thompson.
I lost you because you can't keep up with my brain power.
Keep up. I'm giving myself a headache slamming on the brakes and going into reverse.
Heck, even Dr. Cox's voice turns up in this thing.
You know, I like the sound of that. I see I've hired the right person.
Folks also enjoyed the fresh take on classic Spidey foes like the Lizard and Electro. The Lizard, aka Dr. Connors, is, and I shit you not, played by Rob Zombie. I don't know why. I don't know what casting was thinking when they were like, you know who'd be a great get? Rob Zombie. But it works! Dr. Connors isn't the warm, nurturing mentor we saw in the 1994 series who just happened to test his own experiments on himself. This doc is short-tempered and annoyed with Peter, still single-mindedly focused on limb regrowth. But here, he intentionally turns himself into the Lizard.
Hey, Scaly! Know where I can get a little tail?
Electro is reimagined as a picked-on freshman who's the victim of frat hazing. As I mentioned before, this take was from Bendis' script and resulted in Electro actually becoming a killer, not just setting his zaps to stun. In another let's cast a bunch of 90s icons move, Electro is voiced by Ethan Embry. Embry was known for films like Empire Records, That Thing You Do, and his leading role in Can't Hardly Wait.
Stay away from Sally!
Yeah, nice try. That's what I'm here to tell you.
I'll do what I need to do.
Max.
Other classic characters like Silver Sable, Kingpin, and Kraven are in the mix as well. What's really awesome here is that Kingpin is designed to look like and is still voiced by Michael Clark Duncan, reprising his role from the Daredevil movie that came out the same year.
That's pretty cool.
Right? I mean, and he was the best part of Daredevil, so might as well capitalize on that.
This is where you get off.
Think this is where we both get off.
Kraven shows up in the final two-part episode Mind Games. Again, we have an actual high-stakes villain. Dude poisons and kills a couple. Because of the hunter's keen senses, he's immune to hypnosis, which I think is a really cool choice.
My old friend, the amazing Spider-Man. What a nice surprise.
I'm gonna rip you apart.
This whole episode involves the twin children of Kraven's victims, the Gaines twins, who have hypnotizing powers that they use to manipulate people's sense of reality and make them do their bidding. The brother and sister hypnotize Spider-Man into thinking that Kraven killed MJ, trying to manipulate Spidey into killing Kraven for them. And he almost does, by hanging him. He breaks free of the hypnosis in time to snap out of it and spare Kraven's life. But damn, MTV, you edgy.
That's like actually kind of cool.
Right?
So
it's an intense scene. Like, he hoists him up over like this whole like barrier beam in a warehouse and is just like choking the shit out of Kraven because he's like, you killed MJ, I'd kill him with my bare hands. Oh, and when he's hallucinating, that's also when Stan Lee has like a cameo in there and he's like, you should kill him, which seems very un-Stan Lee.
Hold on. Stan Lee, does he show up as Stan Lee?
Not really. Like, he's an old guy with glasses, but does not look like Stan.
Kraven, just running off. Wouldn't that anger you feel be better channeled into revenge?
The Gaines twins are definitely some of the better conceived original villains in Spider-Man the New Animated Series. I feel like a high bar was set for how messed up it was in '94 when Peter learned that he'd been with a water clone of Mary Jane that whole time. Similarly, the mind tricks the Gaines twins pull are incredibly dark. From faking the death of Mary Jane Watson to having Peter push his love interest Indy, a sort of Gwen Stacy Betty Brant hybrid, off of a roof. Like, she's in a coma, it's horrible.
Wait, Spider-Man puts her in a coma?
Yeah. He thinks that he's attacking one of the twins, but they're using their mind manipulation, right? So he actually shoves his girlfriend Indy off of a roof, and she's in a coma at the end of the series.
And this is made by the same people that made Punk'd?
Yes. It's the worst Punk'd. You're like, f*** Ashton Kutcher. Also, more bizarre casting, bordering on completely, utterly insane. The twins are Kathy Griffin and Jeremy Piven.
What?
Yes! The casting's so weird on this show, it makes no sense.
I am more powerful than my brother! Really? Try using your brain to block this!
Many of the other villains were based off of pre-existing Marvel characters. Shikata, for example, seems to be based off of Elektra. This move works. Shikata's really interesting. She's an expert fighter, she's got telekinesis, her sword is dope and magical and de-ages her. This was a cool take on a type of character we'd seen before. There's Turbojet, a rework of Rocket Racer, a sort of Robin Hood-esque character, but more villainous. Still confused how on a janitor's salary he has the means to build himself that suit. Is that what you can do when you have disposable income and a background of working at NASA? I am living so wrong. Other reworks for me are a little less successful, like Talon, a sort of retooling of Black Cat. This could be because Black Cat is personally one of my favorite characters, but I just don't get why they didn't use the real character. Felicia Hardy's the best.
Best dressed? Please, the girls got hips like snack trays. Catch me if you can.
Despite these villains and darker storylines getting a fairly warm reception, MTV decided that the series just didn't pull in the ratings to give it a second season, leaving the series on a cliffhanger of Pete possibly hanging up his tights for good after he hurt Indy.
So are they not allowed to use the rights to like a lot of his villains?
I'm not sure what it was. I think a lot of it was trying to make things hipper and cooler and also diversify the cast. Like that Talon character is voiced by Eve. And there's also kind of like an in-joke in series where one of the things she's trying to steal is some kind of music award. And at the time, I think Eve was nominated for some kind of music award as well. So I think there were just more of, let's try to do unique casting opportunities. Should a second season have happened, Peter would have obviously gotten back to web slinging, and there would have been a lot more Kraven-centric stories, possibly making Kraven the new season's big bad. We could have even gotten some storylines based on some of Todd McFarlane's incredible run in the comics. I'm curious to know where you guys think the show should have gone and if Kraven is the right dude to get Pete back to heroics. Did they fridge Indy permanently? Will MJ learn Peter's secret? Would this Harry become a goblin, or is being a blonde douche evil enough? The world will never know. And also, one of the reasons why this probably didn't do well, though, is because they aired everything out of order. The pilot aired at the wrong time, so you saw Electro come back to life before he had even been introduced in the series. So MTV really set themselves up for failure here by just not putting the series in sequential order.
Gosh, didn't realize you two were an item.
These are just a few of my takeaways from the 2003 show, and I would love to hear yours, especially what I missed. So hit me up in the comments below. For more videos, you can click to the left of my face, or you can check us out on Roku and Plex. Thanks again to our sponsors, and thank you for watching. I'll see you, Space Cowboy.